Welcome again to another episode of Basic Business Concepts for the Average Person. Today we're going to be looking at the impact government has on the way you live, on how you live. My name is Dr. Wilbert Connor. I want to welcome you again, and I hope you listen and view this episode from the beginning to end. Ever pondered the question, how much authority does the government have over me? Or am I paying too much in taxes? These are real questions that go through our subconscious mind, sometimes our conscious minds, every now and again. Our lives are impacted by government policies at the federal level, at the state level, and at the local level. The effects are both direct and indirect. You may or may not be aware of the impacts or the effects, but you are impacted. I am impacted in one way or the other by government policies and how government functions in our society. In a sense, government is involved in business. Government is involved in business in ways that affect us all for the good of for the entire society. Projects must be funded, of course, in order for them to be successful, in order for them to be practical and beneficial to members of the society. The roads we drive on, the sidewalks we use, the parks we enjoy, the price we ultimately pay for goods and services are all a function, in a sense, of government. Okay, so the price of the goods, as I said, property taxes, income taxes, the amount of tax you pay, and depending on where you reside, all of these impact the extent to which government has a certain influence on how you live. Let us do a simple breakdown for clarification. Let's look at the federal income tax, for instance, very, very briefly. There are 7 taxable income brackets: 10%, 12%, 22%, 24%, 35%, and 37%. Of course, it's all depend on how you file your taxes. You file single, married jointly, or married separately, or as the head of household. So all of these are influenced by government. Government decides how much taxes you pay. You cannot decide how much tax you want to pay, so the government does that. And so when the qualifying amount is deducted from your income, it is considered your contribution to the federal government. So you and I help fund the highways, bridges, social security. We also fund NASA to a certain extent, community policing, and Medicare, and the list goes on and on and on. So everything is intertwined. Government provides services. We, as the citizens, fund these. Federal taxes, I'm sure you're aware of that. But let me just quickly revisit income taxes. In the United States, there are, I think, 7 states that do not have personal income taxes. All right, so I think Florida, Texas, Nevada, Wyoming, Washington, South Dakota, and Alaska. Every other state has income taxes. You may be thinking, should I relocate to the States? But the thing is, income taxes, maybe you may avoid paying income taxes, but there are other taxes that you have to pay. But again, I'm saying all this to say that we as citizens, we pay taxes, and government provide services and infrastructure to meet our needs. So we cannot escape paying taxes. There is a sales tax, as I alluded to. The price of the goods that we pay at the store, not everywhere, but sales taxes are imposed on these goods and the services. You go to the restaurant, you also pay. Just proceed here. The Fed controls interest rates. By lowering the discount rate, it becomes cheaper to borrow money. And so the ripple effect is it encourages us to spend, and it encourages businesses to expand. When businesses expand, they provide employment. We earn income, we spend, we save, and so the wider impact is in the wider community, goes to the wider community. And all these are impacted to a certain extent by government policies. So the rate of the loan that you pay on at the banks, at your federal credit union, they all are impacted by government to a certain extent. So the Fed affects that. Taxes and interest rates, there are various levels that is influence where you invest your money and also what you invest in. So your investment portfolio is affected by the rate of interest. So the returns, you're concerned about getting a higher return, so you determine where you want to invest your money. Right. And just a side note here, there are some astute investors, and I'm not necessarily talking about companies, but individuals alike. They may decide to invest in offshore banks and other institutions so that they avoid paying what they consider exorbitant taxes. So there are some of these institutions are sometimes solid and ethical, have ethical structures. There are others that are nefarious in nature. And just to avoid taxes, you may have heard of certain individuals who were sent to prison because they went to an extent where they avoided paying taxes and it became criminal. So the role of government is critical in our daily lives, daily cost of living. Policies are put in place so that consumers can seek redress. If goods are faulty, government puts institutions and standards in place like the USDA so that if standards are compromised, then we as citizens are taken care of. And greenhouses are controlled so that pollution is managed and reduced. Noise pollution is checked, etc. The police must exist so that there is order in the society. The Small Business Administration is set up to provide guidance and assistance for small businesses. The Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, It's there for safe flying, so that individuals don't do whatever they would like to, because our lives can be endangered. The Veterans Affairs takes care of veterans when they leave the military. The Social Security is set up to take care of people who are now in their twilight years, so that they may enjoy their lives, and the health is taken care of. So Medicare, Medicaid, all these are in place to take care of them. So whether our society is characterized by capitalist or socialist principles and policy controls, government to a certain extent helps us and determine to a certain extent how our lives are managed. It doesn't matter how free you are, how liberal you are, but government has a certain level of influence or control on the way that we live. You can purchase an item at one location as opposed to another because of the price influence, or the price set up by the state as compared to another state, for example. So you can leave one state to go buy or purchase a car in another state because you think the price is better because of government policy. Some of you may want to relocate, as I alluded to earlier, because you may discover that certain states do not have personal income taxes, for example, or no sales tax, for example. But again, the influence is everywhere. So just a reminder, government has some influence or impact on how we live, and it's impacted by the prices of groceries that we purchase, our income, property, services, and of course it varies depending on where you live. Like for example, the property taxes, you live in the city, if you live in the county, and some people resort to avoiding paying taxes because they think government is in their business. But again, as I said at the beginning, government has a certain influence in the way business is run. Again, I want to thank you for viewing. Please don't hesitate to comment, to subscribe, to like, and to share. Have a great day. We will see you the next time.